they would say that a melodic minor scale sounds best on a tonic minor chord. So, for example, say we're in the key of, I'll just do this in A minor. So that's a 2-5-1 in the key of A minor. So I'm over this chord, which is an A minor 6. Melodic minor will sound really nice over that. Right. Harmonic minor will also sound cool. It'll just be different. I mean, the only difference between harmonic minor and melodic minor is the sixth. Melodic minor has a major sixth, this note. Harmonic minor has a minor sixth. So that's the only difference between melodic minor and harmonic minor. So harmonic minor, melodic minor, right? So I know that doesn't really give you a definitive answer to the question, but unfortunately, I don't really think there is one. I think it's really, I hate to like be cliche, but it's really just about what you hear working well. I mean, the other thing to think about is they all have different chords that come off them, right? So if you would build triads based on the harmonic minor scale and the melodic minor scale, you get different things happening. So if you're like playing in a world that's strictly like harmonic minor, you might want to use it. But what sort of context are you talking about using them in? Like a specific song or?
Oh no, because I've just been spending time working on like learning the melodic and harmonic mind, and I
Yeah,
didn't know when to use them. Like I
yeah,
know them, like I don't like have any context for where to apply them.
yeah. Okay. So what can I? Why are you learning those scales? Like what's driven you to learn
Oh, I'm subscribed to this website called Pick Up Music, and they've like the lesson now is just going over the melodic and harmonic minor, and they're explaining the different modes of those, but they
it?
haven't like given us context for how to use them.
Yeah. Okay. 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 Yeah, I get that.
It's kind of interesting. Raph brought that up
Mm.
because that's something I'm working on too. And
Yeah.
for me,
I mean,
like, can if I bring it to my guitar Neanderthal mode, right? So we were just talking about A minor,
yeah.
and okay, just say we're playing over a one chord vamp of A minor.
Mm.
Can I use melodic minor just over
Yeah.
that?
Of course, man. Like, there's no. It's again, there's no rules to any of this stuff. I mean, the thing to consider though is if you're using melodic minor over a minor chord, if that minor chord has a minor seventh in it. So if you're on a minor seven chord, which I think is what you were saying there,
Yeah.
like that chord shape, the harmonic and the melodic minor scale have that raised seven, so that's going to
Right.
clash. It's like this, you'll get like, which is a bit janky. It's a bit weird. Flat seven clashing with the major seven, but like you can totally use it. Look, why don't we talk about modes? Because I think I can help you guys out here. There's so much confusion with it. And it makes me very sad because it oughtn't be that confusing. So if you guys don't mind, how about we just try zero in on the modes for a sec, because I reckon
Sure.
it'll help you out.
Great, yeah.
Do either
Yeah,
of
yeah.
you guys mind if I screen record?
No, go for it, man. Go
All right.
for it. By
Raph,
all
you
means.
good? You good with me screen
Yeah,
recording?
please. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I might. I was gonna do that. If you don't mind, uploading that at the
I'll
end,
be glad
and
to.
we could
Yeah.
just the forum. Okay. So let me just pull up. Um, just want like something I can write on. I'll just do it on Word. All right. So yeah, this is the one thing that just boggles my mind how badly it's taught. Window, entire screen. All right, you guys can see my screen.
Yep.
You guys see my Word doc?
Yeah. No.
No. Now?
Yeah, I see it now. Sorry.
No, I think it was me. Now?
Yeah, it's up.
All right, great, great, great. All right, so let's talk about modes. This is like one of my favorite things to talk about. So the first thing to understand is you guys know what whole steps and half steps are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, whole tone, semitone. I mean, that's really all there is to any of these modes. Period. I'll go through it. So this is our major scale code, right? Ooh. This is our major code, right?
Okay.
I'll write that. I'll just make this a bit smaller. So any major mode we can get out of this. So let's go through this for a sec. Someone want to pick a key?
C.
It can be any key.
C is
How about we do? Sorry.
C. Yeah.
C. Okay. C is easy. No sharps or flats, right? So order of the modes, we've got. Right. So those are the order of our modes. Now there are two ways that we can think about these modes. Actually, before I get onto that, let me just explain this a bit better. The code. So what this sequence gives us are the building blocks for any major mode. So any of these guys here. Okay, so let's start with C. So we pick our first note, right? We go up a whole step from C, gets us D. We go up another whole step from D, we're on E. Now, half step, right? To F. Whole step from F, G. Whole step from G, A. Whole step from A, B. And then this last half step should bring us back to the 1. If it doesn't bring us back to the 1, something's gone wrong. So this is the reason why C major has no sharps or flats. It's got nothing to do with the circle of fifths or the cycle of fourths or Father Charles going down and ending battle. It's nothing to do with any of that. It's all to do with the fact that this pattern is what gives us a major scale. And therefore, that is the key signature for C major. If I do the exact same pattern with A, let's see what happens. So we go A, we go up a whole step from A, we get B. We go up a whole step from B, we get C sharp because there's no half step between B and C. We go up a half step from C sharp, we get D. Whole step from D, we get E. Another whole step from E, we get F sharp. Another whole step, G sharp. And then back to A. So that's why A has 3 sharps in it. Not because of the cycle of fifths. I don't really understand why people explain it that way. I mean, I do from the perspective that if you're sitting a music theory exam, you can remember these tricks to navigate yourself, but it's kind of useless. It doesn't give you the why behind it. So you guys with me with all that so far?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Great. So now, to make a Dorian scale, we can take this pattern, right? Let's make it smaller. Now, the Dorian is just a major scale starting on the 2nd degree. So we just go D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. That's Dorian, right? Phrygian is that. Lydian is this. I'll just finish writing them out. I'm almost there. Oh, I can do that. That saves. That makes. That's Mixolydian. Aeolian. Bear with me, guys. Alright, and finally, Locrian, right? Now, we can also get these patterns by using the whole half thing we were just talking about. So, because so let's take Dorian, right? Because Dorian's the 2nd mode, think of this whole half as a sequence that repeats forever and ever. Just like there's no start to like the musical alphabet. We could start on C and go through. We could start on F and go through. These sequences, all sequences of music repeat indefinitely. Like there's no start or end. So you guys can see I've just extended this, right? I've just written it twice. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. With me?
Yep.
Yeah. So now, let's get rid of the first one. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because there are 7 notes in a scale, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the first pattern starting on the second degree. So whole, half, whole, 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 half, whole. Now, if I do this starting on D, right? Start on D, up a whole step gets me E, a half step from E gets me F, a whole step from F gets me G, a whole step from G gets me A whole step from A gets me B, a half step from B gets me C, a whole step from C gets me D. So that's D Dorian, right? And that'll hold for all of these modes. Like there are no exceptions or limits to these sort of things. They're just patterns and mathematical patterns. Okay. So this is what I call thinking about modes relatively, right? Like based on one on a central key. So if I grab my guitar, what this lets me do, can you guys still see my guitar or just my screen?
Yeah,
I
I,
see
can,
both, yeah.
I got you.
Cool. So what this lets me do is say I'm playing in C, right? Because I know all my modes in C major, I can think of the modes just as different positions of the major scale. So instead of only being able to play C up here, right, I know, A Aeolian is the same as C major, B Mixolydian is the same as C major, F Lydian is the same as C major. So if I'm in a situation on this chord, I can play anywhere, like Did you guys see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's thinking of them all as one thing, existing off the same thing. There's another really important way to think about them, though. So that's the first way. And Ralph, this is finally getting to your question, which I know is long-winded. The second way to think about them, let's take Dorian. Okay. The second way to think about them is as sounds in their own right. So what do I mean by that? So this is D Dorian. Above it, I'm going to write D major. Now, I could follow the whole half pattern to get us there, but for the sake of convenience, I'm just going to write it out. But this is D major on top, G Dorian underneath, right? Now, the reason I'm doing this will become clear in just one sec. So I'm just going to space these out so we can see them well. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. So you guys would have heard stuff like, a harmonic minor scale has a natural seventh, right? Stuff like that. I'm surely that pops up on pickup music, like when they're describing these scales, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So what that means, just in case it's not completely clear, is relative to the major scale of that key, the major scale starting on the same note, what are the differences? So we can see with Dorian, the third degree is flat. No. Flat 3. And then the 7th degree is flat. The Dorian has a flat 3 and a flat 7. Right?
Yep.
So that's why Dorian has a flat 3 and a flat 7. When you compare it to its parent major scale, those are the two notes that are altered. Okay? So let's go back to melodic minor now. Now I'm going to copy and paste this, which is going to seem freaky to all involved, but I figured this out when I was teaching at a school last year. It kind of blew my mind, so hopefully you guys find it useful. Now, this whole half thing only holds for major modes. So there are 4 modal groups in Western music. We've got major, we've got melodic minor, harmonic minor, and harmonic major. That's it. There are 4 families of modes. You've got other scales like the whole tone scale, the diminished scale, but they're sort of a different kettle of fish. They're not 7 note scales. Okay, so this thing, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, right?
Okay.
For us to make that melodic minor, so there's a whole step between the first and the second note, that's true, but there's a half step here, right? There's a whole step, so the whole pattern changes. So check it out. Whole, half, the whole step, half step, whole step. Then whole steps the whole way through. The end, whole. I think that's right. Yeah, cool. Okay. So this is our melodic minor code. Oh, also the other thing, are you guys clear on the difference between like how melodic minor is talked about in jazz music and classical music?
Yeah, you don't change it on the descend like you do
Yeah.
in classical. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, everyone just calls this melodic minor. I mean, in my parts at least, I'm at jazz school, so the classical it's ascending. It's what we're calling melodic minor, and then descending it's natural minor. Okay, so this is our melodic minor code, right? So all that happens is this third note gets changed to an E flat. So the difference between the modes
ascending,
of...
descending thing real quick.
Can I explain it? Did you say?
No. Like, I know that there's like 2 schools of thought there, and like the jazz school is like always used. It stays the same. Is that just generally what everybody does? Like, they just keep the melodic minor, the same ascending and descending.
Yeah, I think when guitarists are talking about melodic minor, improvising musicians in general, no one's ever thinking about it being different descending, because when you're improvising, by definition, you don't really know whether you're going up or down a scale.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it wouldn't really make sense to have a non-fixed scale. Like that would just hurt my... you would never know what you're playing.
Okay.
That way. So I think the fixed system makes a lot more sense. Okay, so this is my thesis here. So you guys hang with me. This is going to be a bit weird at first. So we agree that only one note's changing, right?
Okay.
Now, you'll see that the place this note has in the scale changes position. So check this out. It goes from being the third note to the second note to the first note. Then it goes to the 7th note, the 6th note, the 5th, and the 4th note, right? The reason for that is as you're moving up through the modes, that note that you've altered is moving down relative to you moving up. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So here's how I think about them. So, Raf, I'm sure you've heard... I don't actually remember what the normal names are. So you've got melodic minor, Dorian flat 2, Lydian augmented, Lydian dominant, Mixo flat 5. And what do they call the 6th mode usually?
I don't know. Altered's the last one. That's all I remember.
Yeah, and altered's the last one. That's not how I think of it, personally. I think of it like this.
Oh, that's cool.
Right? I think that's so much easier. Like, neat, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So then, if you know your modes of the major scale, you just need to know which note is moving, and then you know all your notes of melodic minor. Not done yet though. So then we can actually do the same thing for harmonic minor. So for harmonic minor, I start here on Aeolian, because it's Aeolian. It's really Aeolian with a sharp 7, right? Now, following the same process, then Locrian will have a sharp 6. That works. Like, oh, sorry. I did it wrong. I did it the wrong way around. 82. Oh, what have I done? Sorry. Yep. These are the modes of it, but I think of it as starting with Aeolian, just because to my head it makes more sense that way, because really harmonic minor is just a minor scale with a raised 7. So I would think of it like that. Have I done that right? No. Yes. No. One sec. No. I had it the first time. I shouldn't have doubted it. Man, going crazy over here. Okay. That holds though for harmonic minor. You guys see how that makes sense, like logically?
Yeah, no, I like that you tied it all back to the major scale. It just makes it easier.
Yeah, this is what I tell like my students. They're like, so many people get confused about modes. I'm like, that's literally all you need to know is half, half, whole, half, half, half. Sorry, whole, half, whole, half. Don't study half, half, whole. I don't think that'll get you very far. But like that's all any of this is. And then there are the two ways of thinking about the modes, right? The first, you've got sort of like a horizontal view where they're just extensions of the same sound, right? And then the other one, it's like that vertical view where each mode presents its own tonal characteristics. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then you can use, but then any of those modes, like you can make any one of them the vertical one. So like, where did my pick go? Say I want like, I'm playing over an A-7, and I'm like, oh, I really want a Dorian sound. Like I can go all up and down with, you get what I'm saying? Like they're all available everywhere once you understand that. So yeah, that's my theory on modes. I hope that helps. I can send a screenshot of this if you like.
Yeah, thank you.
My
Yeah.
problem, and excuse me, like in diving into particularly melodic minor is, you'll read on forums and stuff like that. Oh, you can use.
Don't read on forums.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: are you only going to use a mode of melodic minor when it's diatonic to the chord?
No. Fuck no, dude. Like, you can put it anywhere. Like that. Like, honestly, all these scales are like little, like collections of sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And learning the modes allows you to play that collection of sound anywhere on the fretboard. It allows you to be flexible with the collection of sound. I can't tell you what you should play because only you know what your ear's like. I can tell you that on some chords, something's going to sound a bit funky because you're going to have clashing notes.
Gotcha.
Right? But, like, like especially in jazz music, like there's so much, like there are some players that really like dissonance. There are other players that really dislike dissonance. I mean, like the classic Stevie Ray Vaughan lick to sort of like go out of the jazz thing is like the, which is like a flat 9 over a 1. Like that's pretty fucking dissonant, right?
Yeah, sure.
So like if you go to like school and you study these things, people are going to say, you can't play that, but like, why? Like, it's just the thing is, like, these scales and like theory in general, they let me explain like things that like I just did. It lets me explain, oh, Stevie Ray Vaughan likes trilling from 1 to flat 9. That's a thing he likes to do. It doesn't tell me whether or not it sounds good. Like that's up to you. But like, if there's, for either of you guys, just so I can give you something maybe a bit more concrete rather than giving you like up in the cloud stuff. Is there like a particular progression that you're trying to use these modes on, or a particular way you're trying to apply them, and it's where it's not quite working? Because maybe I can help there a bit more, in a more specific way at least.
I guess like a major 251. Like what are the options?
Okay, great question. So, if you want to keep it completely diatonic, you would obviously go. So, have you guys heard like, so let's do it in C, D minor, G7, C, major, like a D Dorian, G Mixolydian, and C major, right?
Okay.
Why the fuck would you do that though? That's just playing C major. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why? Why are you saying that, man? So the way I think about 251s, I don't tend to think of them in scales so much, which is maybe a frustrating answer. I tend to think of them in chord tones. So like, let's take a 251. Let me get this word doc back up. So 251 in C major. You guys understand this like jazz shorthand thing?
Yeah.
That's meant to be my triangle. Alas, I do not have one. Okay. So let's make that real big. So our 2 minor 7 is D minor 7. The arpeggio of D minor 7 is D, F. Should I put commas? D, F, A, C, right?
Okay.
1, flat 3, 5, flat 7. Then we have our dominant 7 chord, which is a G7. I'm just writing down like the basic, it doesn't want to work that way. I'll just do it like this. I'm just writing down the basic arpeggios, and then we'll get into some more fun stuff.
I have another quick question while you're writing that down.
Yeah.
So did you do you memorize all the notes that are in every arpeggio? Because like I just know the shape. Like I know like the minor 7 arpeggio shape, and I just move it around, but I don't know all the notes in it.
I mean, what, watching me do this, do you think I like know them verbatim? Because I don't. Like I'm just very quick at figuring them out in my head.
Okay.
So some guys, like, they fully know them off the top of their head. You'll ask them what's in a C sharp minor 7 flat 5, and I can pretty much do it like quickly enough to seem like I know off the top of my head. But in my head, I'm going like I'm seeing the guitar chord, right? Like that's how I do it. Is that the best way to do it? I don't know, but how I do it, like I see like C sharp, E, what's next? G, and then B. So I can do it like.
Yeah, I didn't know if you need to recall of all that. Like,
Yeah, I don't have instant recall of all of it. I mean, guitar is a pattern instrument, right? Like, I mean, it's probably good to have instant recall. I don't have it, but I have near enough that it's never been a problem. Okay, so let's look here. So let's look at this minor 7 chord. So the sounds that I personally like on the minor 7 chord, the intervals I go for, I like the 1, I like the 2, usually called the 9, the flat 3, the 4, 5, the 6, the natural 6, and the flat 7. That's usually what I'm using, and that's just Dorian. I'm usually using Dorian on the minor 7 chord, which is just, again, C major, really.
Yep.
This is where you can get the most out with it though. On the dominant 7 chord. So the whole thing with dominant 7 chords, the reason why you can throw so much stuff on them and why they still sound good is because the Dom 7 is a tension that wants to resolve. So if we look at this G7 arpeggio, it is like pretty much perfectly leading us to our C major 7 chord. So if we look at that B wants to move up by a half step to C, and that's a really nice voice movement. This F wants to move down a half step to E. So this like voice leading thing, I mean, this is something that like, classical musicians have known. Like Bach was the like ultimate genius at this stuff. But like, if I play a B and a B and an F together, they really want to go. Like that's very pleasing to our ears, right?
Yep.
So this 5 chord though, this is where all the tension is. That's why we can add all the tension, because we're expecting it to go somewhere. So what do I like to play on it? What are good options here? I mean, G Mixolydian is pretty boring, but it's one of the options. The one that people go the one that people seem to really like is the altered scale, G altered, which is really A flat melodic minor. That's how I think of it. Because altered is the 7th mode of melodic minor. It's this mode here. So, like, if we're in the key of A flat, 7th of A flat to G, right? Following?
Yep.
Well, not really. Yeah. I'm just thinking A flat melodic minor. I'm not really thinking G altered. It's the same thing. One that I really like is Mixolydian flat 6. I just really like the sound of a flat 6. What are the other ones? Whole tone works well. G whole tone. That's a nice sound. There's the diminished scale. Usually the half whole. I mean, half whole, whole half. Depends where you start. Half whole starting with B. I mean, those are the and the pentatonic scales, obviously. Like G minor, major, pentatonic will both work. And then D blues scale will work well. One thing, I'll show you guys a trick though, because I feel like I should give you at least one trick. Otherwise,
I like the sound of that Mixolydian flat 6. That's really cool sounding.
it's beautiful. It's like it's basically implying a minor 4 chord.
Yeah.
So like, so like. I'm like such a sucker for the Beatles. Like that 5 to 4 chord. I don't know. I've just always been really into it. But I'll show you guys a cool trick if you just want something that you can sort of throw on a G7 chord and like any dominant 7th chord. Just do you guys know about sidestepping scales? Have you heard about this?
Yes.
Yeah. So what it is, right? It's just like moving, like moving from one scale, usually like a half step to the next scale. So like on G7, right? If you go like A flat minor pentatonic, G minor pentatonic, check it. Pretty cool sound.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a little hack. I don't know. I don't have many of these hack things. I wish I had more. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I haven't got too much more to say. I don't know. What do you guys reckon that we call it there? Any last minute questions?
No, that's great. Thanks for going through all this.
No, yeah, man.
no
this is really, really fun.
Oh, no, I hope it's been helpful for both of you guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope to make it a thing. Like I'd be keen to do it.
What's that chord chart you're working on?
The old classic.
Oh yeah. I've been
The old
trying to
class.
do countdown, and it's giving me fits.
No, no, no. I don't approach those things. They like make me yearn for suicide. So I just stay away from those nasty charts. Rhythm changes is as nasty as I want to be to myself at the moment, so I'm staying there. But man, it's fucking it's hectic at jazz school. You get fucking pounded with charts all day, and then eventually you realize they're all the same, and all you need to know is the rhythm changes, a ballad and a blues, and then everything else will sort of flow in nicely. But yeah,
You
I
know,
hope that's been
that's
helpful. You guys sound like you have a pretty solid grasp of the theory stuff, though. Like, um, obviously, you guys have both checked this out a fair bit.
yeah. My
A little.
my problem is you like I know to play jazz, I need to learn a bunch of those standards and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
some of them just I just can't get into them. You know, it's like
You don't like them?
you're playing music from the speakeasy in the 40s or something. You know,
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's like I remember. So I'm 25. I remember I started. So I went straight into jazz when I was 18. I went to jazz school because I wanted to get a music degree. Um, my parents definitely didn't. Um, but, I balanced it out by doing two bachelor's degrees at the same time, and it's now quite funny to have a commerce degree on the wall. It's a very
hmm.
expensive but good joke. Um, but yeah, I remember going into it and I was like, I remember saying to my guitar teacher, like, I don't like it. I don't like this. I can't find
Yeah.
anything to get into. He showed me some stuff, and it was really Bill Frisell. That's what got me. Like, I was like, oh, and like Bill Frisell's one of my all-time heroes. I'm not trying to say I can play anything like him, but when I listen to Bill Frisell, I think, oh, like I can understand this. I can understand sort of how he's putting that together. But if I listen to like I don't know Joe Pass, it's like fuck, man. Like I'll never be able to play
Yeah,
that.
right, right.
Yeah, like those like crazy fast chord runs. I remember we had to transcribe his solo on meditation and Joe Beam tune. It was
Whew.
absolute nightmare.
That's rough.
But yeah, I would just say, like, dude, if there are some standards you don't like, just don't learn them. I mean, Miles Davis, with that, like through the 50s and 60s, he had a list of pretty much 30 standards that he played. He would rarely play anything outside that.
Hmm.
But I think like, and the other thing I'll say with learning standards is it's way, 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 way better to like pick one standard and really learn that. Like, I mean, really learn that standard. Like, no, like be able to do everything that you can conceivably do on that standard. Be able to play the root movement and the melody at the same time. Be able to play a chord melody on it. Be able to improvise on it. Be able to play it in all 12 keys. If you do that for one tune, it'll have a compound effect on your playing. It's like because there aren't like there are only so many chords and there are only so many ways to move from one chord to another chord. And like for the most part, obviously like there are some tunes like Thelonious Monk tunes, really strange, beautiful but very difficult harmony. But like your standards have like very fairly standard harmony for the most time. So if you really go in deep on one, I think that'll yeah give you a lot more than sort of skimming the surface on a bunch. Like that's what I wish I had known when I started studying jazz music because like again like in a university environment it's like you're like fuck I have to know all these tunes like because like people say oh you need to know 500 standards to be a real jazz musician or like
Hmm.
all that crap man really and then you try to learn all these tunes and you learn them very superficially and you forget them 2 weeks later because you can't like to really learn a tune takes time but like I don't know take like all the things you are right like the first like I'll just show you quickly how I would approach learning it so all the things you are I'll just take the first few bars So where's my melody? Root melody, right? Right, so my root note, my melody. Then it's like, okay, what are the chords? F minor. I play triads. Oh, triads. Hey, great. Good. Seventh chords. Right? Great. And add, and add, and add, and add. And then it's like, okay, I've got all my triads. Can you voice lead those triads to make like nice movement? So like, how would I do that? Like maybe. Right? Just voice leading triads. And it's like, you can do that like 5 hours and it's kind of fun. Um, and just like simple and build and build and build, then transcribe a solo and learn it in another key. And then, yeah, that's how I would say you might want to do it. I mean, your mileage may vary. I think, and last thing I'll say, then we'll wrap this up. I think the hardest thing about learning jazz music for me has been learning how I learn jazz music. Now I know like sort of what I need to do, how to teach myself. I know what my weaknesses are. I know what I need to work on. That's the hardest part because once you do that, like you're set like for the rest of your life. Like you're never going to run out of things, man. I'm certainly not the least. Maybe like Ted Green ran out of ways to play chords together. He was, yeah, I can't imagine there was many stones he left unturned. But you know what I mean. That's why I really like. I don't watch like YouTube guitar videos anymore. I never watched like YouTube guitar lessons. Like there's one guy I'll check out, or a couple who I really like. But like I just get so overwhelmed personally by like this is the way to do this. This is the way to do this. It's all just bullshit. Like anyone telling you that they've got the one way to think about something is a fucking fraud. So on that merry note.
One quick question too about jazz and learning other things. Like, do you just entirely focus on jazz? Because like, I'll play jazz stuff, and I'm like, I want to learn some, Yngwie Malmsteen licks. Like, is there time for that, or like, do you just focus on jazz?
For me personally,
Yeah, or anyone that's like really wants to get proficient at, a particular style. Do you have
yeah,
to
I
focus on
think
style?
that if you really want to like get to a really comfortable level, I do think that you sort of need to hang out with it pretty exclusively for a while. Like certain parts of my playing have atrophied, to be honest. Like I did this recording of Manic Depression back in 2019. I listened to it. I was like, fuck, I can't play like that anymore. Like I need to get those Hendrix chops back up. But I think that the guys who have gotten really good have really spent time doing one thing. But the other thing with jazz, it's like, unless you want to play like, like Charlie Christian, like, early like jazz, or like a very specific, or like Django Reinhardt, or like Wes, or like a very specific way to play jazz. Studying jazz is just studying music, really. That's what I find. Like, there's no, like, obviously, there's a standard repertoire that you need to learn, and I realize I'm contradicting myself here a little, but like, you need to learn the standard repertoire if you want to get on a bandstand and play tunes. That's true. If you don't know how to play Autumn Leaves, you're probably not going to have much luck at a jam, right? But on the other hand, the more you learn about jazz, jazz is just a framework for thinking about music. Like, it's just this like Black American way of thinking about music, and it's an extraordinary way of thinking about music. But like, there's also an Indian classical music approach. There's a Balinese music approach to thinking about music. It's just one way to approach it. And if you're an improvising musician, it's I think a particularly good way. But yeah, I don't think it like necessarily boxes you in. I think if anything, it opens you up. But I do. But that being said, if your goal, it depends what your goal is. Like if it's to get up on a bandstand and play standards, then you probably would want to spend a fair bit of time doing that.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
I kind of get where you're coming from, Raph, because I think a lot of guitar players, myself included, we started in the jazz to better inform our playing over music we were already playing, rock and stuff like that, metal. And, you know, it's kind of one of those, jazz for me has been a harsh mistress because the more I get into it, the like you were saying, it's like your rock stuff is going away in a sense. But music is music in the end, so I guess as long as you can play it and it's you're playing what's fun, you know.
Yeah, like for me personally, if I spent like 3 weeks tearing apart Axis Boulder's Love, I'm sure it would come back.
Oh
It's like I think it's in me. Like I grew up. I spent all of my teens listening to Hendrix. Like it hasn't gone anywhere. It's just not as instantly accessible because I haven't focused specifically on that in a while. But like I think the thing with jazz and like the awesome thing, but also the sad thing. So one of my teachers, his name's Craig, incredible guitarist. He's played with not with the Rolling Stones, but the Rolling Stones backing band. They tour, like they put on gigs without the Stones. He's played with those guys, so he's like a very legit player. Like he's very good. He tells me that the older he gets, the more the wider he realizes the gulf is between him and Wes Montgomery. He says that the more he unpacks it and the more he studies it, the more he realizes how good he is, and the more he realizes how far away he is from it. So, yeah, but like, I don't know. I think it's just the thing with like this jazz like theory thing. I think it's a really versatile framework to understand music. Like you can describe pretty much all Western music using it. That's why I really like it. Yeah.
Well, hopefully my screen record worked.
Sorry?
I said hopefully my screen record worked, and I'll check it out after we're done, and I'll upload it to YouTube, and I can post you a link in that thread that we have.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. And let's I'd be keen to do this in a month from now. Maybe we'll get some more participants. Maybe we won't, but this has been really fun, guys.
Thank you for doing it, man. And thank you for participating too, Raph. It's been fun.
Oh, it's been great. Thank you. Thank you both.
But it is 2 minutes to midnight, as Iron Maiden like to say, and I have my one class of the week at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, which is so cruel. So I best hit the hay.
I hear you, man. Well, thank you for staying up with us.
No worries at all. Really nice to meet both you guys. Have a good one.
All right, you too, gentlemen.
All right,
all right, later.